So there are some questions we need to consider. At what point do we need to let go? How long do we have to hold on? How long do we have to persevere, to endure? How long do we have to stay on the same spot? When should we stop holding on? When should we let go? When should we move away? My name is Lauli Bitoye, and today we'll talk about hold on. And recently online there was this conversation that was spread around about a guy who actually approached his crush, and she said no, and the guy moved on. And then she left him messages saying, you asked only once, and then you just left. You didn't try again. You didn't continue. I wanted you to at least chase me a little and ask more than once, right? And of course, people had different opinions about it. Some people were like, why should you hold on? Others were like, oh, yes, you should have held on. You should have at least tried one more time or twice. So really, it's an age-long question of, some people believe that you don't just try once, you need to try again. You need to at least stay a little longer. Others believe once you tried once and it doesn't work, move on to the next. Well, yes, there may not be a universal answer to it all, but I think for time we need to have our certain markers. For example, in my opinion, to the guy, why did he go approach his crush in the first place? Was he sure? Did he have any conviction at all? Was he certain? Fine, yes, you said a no, but there is a school of thought that says if he was sure and he really wanted her, he could have actually kept on the chase, right? If it wasn't just some flimsy trophy he was trying to win, if he didn't see her as a goal he just needed to attain, or just a trophy he needed to put on his shelf, and he tried it once and he didn't get an effective one, since I didn't get it, let's move on, right? But another part is if he knew that, okay, it's just gonna be a thing, and then he asked and said no, he moves on. But if there's gonna be something real and he was sure of it, he asked the first time and he said no, okay, no problem. Give it another time, try something else, try convincing her and all of that. Okay, so there are different school of thought to it. Moving on, not just about relationships now. In that business, you've been doing it for years, over and over and over again, but it's almost like it's not yielding, it's not moving, it's not growing. How long do you have to continue before you know it's time to switch, or do you have to continue pressing? Okay, and just like I said about the guy asking the girl out, we need to understand, for that business, are you sure, are you convinced that's what you really want to do? Yes, indeed, we all know about the story of the bamboo tree. It spends years and years and years growing, alright, in the ground, and then it finally sprouts to the top. You don't just give up on it because you're not seeing anything coming out immediately. You need to give it time. As well as any seed you plant, you don't plant it immediately and see results immediately. Sometimes you need to actually nurture it, water it, keep on tilling the ground, keep on weeding all the weeds around, all the things you don't want. Keep ensure you nurture it, you dress it properly till you finally see the result, till you finally see the result you're looking for. So I think that it's important that we first define what we want, how much we want it, before we go to consider if it's time to let go or if we should still hold on. So yeah, I'm emphasizing holding on today, and I'm trying to encourage us to know that it's not every time we need to walk away from that attempt. Okay? It's not every time we need to pack up and leave. In relationships, yes, there are times when it can really be frustrating. Our partner can be frustrating, draining, and things are not just going the way they should, and it's almost sucking the life out of you. But of course, you don't cut off your head simply because you have a headache. You trace it. You have to hold on, you have to endure it at times and just keep on. So also, just because you tried it the first time, second time, third time, 10th time, it didn't work, doesn't mean you have to stop. Other times you need to just press on the more. Yes, indeed, it can be really tough holding on. It can be tough holding on to that relationship that is really undermining you. It can be tough continuing on that business. It can be tough rewriting that exam. It can be tough trying again to appeal to the same person over and over and over again. It can be really tough. But then the question is knowing that you have a conviction. That conviction, that part of you that is sure, that is certain of this is what I want, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. That part of you is what will hold you through those times when it's not looking like it. No one ever plants today and reaps tomorrow. I mean literally plant a seed, right? But we need to put that in mind. We need to understand that some things actually take rigorous work. Some things go through that process. Of course, it doesn't mean that we have to put ourselves through unnecessary process and rigorous training. Like I was talking to a friend who was going through they were trying to get some approvals for some marital processes like that, and it was seeming as if they were deliberately trying to complicate the process just to make them appreciate what they are trying to attain, which in a way it seems ridiculous. It's a different thing if the process is just naturally or it's just by default complicated. But when we deliberately make it complicated just to attain that level of yes, it is hard, right? And I know that around here we have this in our culture, alright. Once it's not hard, then it's not going to be a good result. Once it's not difficult, then the result is not going to be long lasting. If it is not bitter, then the medicine may not be very effective, right? If it's not painful, then it won't work effective. If what you're asked to do is not tangible and rigorous and hard, then the result may not be as potent, right? That's how we've been conditioned, but it's not always like that. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes some things can be very simple. But irrespective, simple or hard, whichever way it comes, we need to first be convicted of what we want. That conviction is what will pull us through those times when we feel like letting go, those times when we feel like giving up, those times when we feel like it's time to throw in the towel. It's not easy holding on to things that are not working, that are seemingly not working. It's not easy to hold on when everyone else is against you. Absolutely not. Yes. But what carries us through those times is our conviction, is that certainty that we have, that sure word of prophecy that we have gotten in our heart, that this is what I should be doing, this is where I need to go, this is who I should be with. I know the question of holding on in the relationship context is a really long one, so I think I'll probably share my experience. My very first relationship, I asked the lady out the first time, and she said no. Beautifully enough, let me give you the story as I was telling, okay? We were friends for 2 years, and then I asked her out, and then she said no. Yeah, it was a really tough one, like really, really tough one. Alright, you know the whole story, let's just be friends, you disappoint me, you're my friend, you're my brother, how would you say this kind of a thing? And yeah, of course, really demeaning, really painful and all that. But still, I held on, okay? We still stayed as friends, and I still asked her again later, probably about 6 months afterwards. I asked her and she still said no. Bottom line of the story is, it took her 3 years to say yes. Asking the same person out for 3 good years, and she finally said yes. 3 years after the first time I asked her out. Yeah, right, I know. But beautiful enough, we dated, were in a relationship for about 1 year and 5 months. And it ended. So now the question is, like, after all that waiting, then it still ended. But here's what I learned. During that period when I was asking and she was saying no, I was convicted. I knew that this was the person I should be with at that time. This was who I needed to grow with. This was who I needed to learn with, to evolve with. Alright? And in the process, don't get me wrong, it was a really tough season, so the story may sound all funny and sweet right now. It was really, really heart-wrenching. But what carried me through those times, why I stayed and continued asking, was because I was sure. Not that she was the one for me, or not that she was the one I was going to get married to, but I was sure that that decision to wait, to stay, to keep asking was the right thing, was what I needed to do. Okay, and that conviction was what kept me. So even when I had friends tell me like, why are you still asking? Why are you still with this person? Why are you still trying to get this person to be with you? I just know. And it may have sounded ridiculous to a lot of people, but I was sure of it and I stood by my conviction. So moving on from there now, let's go a bit further. We still broke up and I had to let go. Now at that point when things weren't going so well and I had made my mistakes, she had made her mistakes and all of that, and we had grown apart, okay? Now at that point as well, I had to get to the point of conviction to know that it was time to let go. And one of the things that I remember that helped me get through that period of letting go was when I was trying to understand that, okay, I was convicted that this was the right decision to do, to take, right? I was supposed to wait for her and then she finally said yes, this was a good thing. But now this same person that I was convicted to wait for is now saying we should go our separate ways. And at that point, I had to learn that what's going on. Did I not hear correctly? Was I mistaken in my first conviction? And that was where I had the clarification. Yes, I had the right conviction. And now it's time to let go. Not because she was a bad person, not because I was a bad person either, but because she was the best person I could have grown with. She was the best person that could have helped me evolve into the best version of myself. And that was wonderful. So I do know that yes, there is a time to let go. But there are also times when we need to hold on. And I think the only way we can be sure of which season or which one to do per time is the convictions we have per time. So don't throw those opportunities away simply because you feel, it didn't work the first time, so let's just let it go. Don't throw that relationship away simply because you feel you're having a hard time and you just can't deal with the stress. Don't throw that business away simply because you feel it's not working out right now. Your season will come, but the first thing that will carry you through the dry seasons is the convictions you've had. So be sure. Take your time and be certain. Take your time and know exactly what you want, what you need per time. You know, there's this saying that do not doubt what God has told you in the light when you enter the darkness. So he told you something while you were in the light. When the dark times comes, don't throw away what he has told you. That thing he told you while you were still in the light is what will carry you through the dark times. So before you get to those periods when things start getting troublesome and the storms start raging, those periods when things are still calm, get your convictions, get your heart set straight. And when you do that, by the time the storms and the questions and the doubt comes, you have something to hold on to. So don't just give up. There will be a time to let go. But before that day comes, hold on for the convictions that you have. Hold on to that thread, that word, that sure word that you have. Let it carry you through, and let it bring forth the result that it has been sent to bring. You will reap the rewards of your hard work. You will reap the reward of your perseverance. You will reap the reward of your consistency. Hold on, and you will definitely eat the fruit of your labor. My name is Lauli Bitoye, and this has been 512. Have a wonderful day.